Of Nee Soon GRC who saw us that we are gathering around this area and came to see what this gathering is all about. So we are here, Red Dot United is here in Nee Soon GRC. We started walking in this GRC during the National Day period last year, which is August 2024. We had been very active in this constituency since that period of time. We have tried to meet as many people as possible. But you know that Nee Soon GRC is a very big GRC. There are over 150,000 voters in Nee Soon GRC. The few months that we've had since being engaged in this constituency, it's not enough to meet every one of the residents that are here. And I think I want to start with that because I think it is important for us to be honest with the residents here, with the people who will be voting from this area, because honesty builds trust. I don't want to say that I've been to all your neighborhoods, I've been to all your blocks, and that I've met every one of you. We have not. But we will make an attempt to meet each and every one of you, regardless of how the contest on 3rd May turns out. That's my promise. That is the promise of Red Dot United. And the people who know us know that we always keep our promise. In the last election, we contested in Jurong GRC against a very formidable opponent who is now our president. After having lost to that formidable opponent, we did not lose heart because we saw that we had a swing, a sizable swing from the previous election towards us. And most of the people who came on to support us in that election were very young people, and they had good encouragement for us that we should stay engaged and we should continue to meet and know the feedback of the residents from that constituency. So we did stay engaged. We had 5 teams on the ground, putting boots on the ground every week, trying to cover as many blocks as possible. Why do I bring that up? It's because that's the same kind of commitment that we will bring to Nee Soon, regardless of the contest. Why then do you need to be elected, you may ask? Because being elected gives us the mandate to do more, perhaps do much more than what the incumbents in this area are doing. We note that the anchor minister here is Mr. Shanmugam. He is the Minister of Law and Home Affairs. He holds down 2 very important portfolios. He has been an incumbent here for almost 40 years, since 1988. And he has a strong grassroots support. His face is well known in this constituency. So even if all the other 4 MPs are removed in this election and they bring in 4 new faces in this election, Mr. Shanmugam will try to win on his familiarity, that the voters here know that it is Mr. Shanmugam. So that is the kind of incumbency that we are fighting against. But the fact is, Mr. Shanmugam cannot be in all the wards. Nee Soon is a very big GRC. He cannot be in all the wards. We have been in walkabouts in several parts of Nee Soon in the past days, and we have met some of Mr. Shanmugam's MPs, but we have not met him yet. We have met his grassroots, but we have not seen him yet. I'm sure he is engaged in the constituency. I'm sure the people here know him. But there can only be one Shanmugam. There cannot be 5 Shanmugams. Whereas we here in Red Dot United, we are a team. We always work as a team. There are no divas in Red Dot United. The ethos of hard work that we bring, it is shared by all our team members. Everyone that you see seated here at this table, and everyone who is standing behind me. That is the kind of ethos that we bring to the residents of Nee Soon GRC. Which is why we say, give us the mandate. We think we can make Nee Soon or Yishun better. Having said that, let me introduce to you our first possible candidate for Nee Soon GRC, our chairman, a man who has been with us for the past 5 years, who has guided us with a steady hand, who has been a pillar of support in difficult times and also in times where there is cause for cheer. Let me welcome and introduce our chairman, Dr. David Foo.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Foo, Chairman of Red Dot United, and I'm deeply honored to have been nominated by the party to be our candidate for Nee Soon GRC. I've been with RDU since its early days. It has been my privilege to help shape its direction and values over the years. But today, as a candidate, I feel an even deeper responsibility. It is not just a contest of parties. It is a contest of honesty and truth. And what we say and do in Nee Soon will serve as a guiding light for every other constituency we are contesting in. By training, I'm a research chemist with a PhD in chemistry. I've worked in academia, in government, and industry. I now run a science-based learning center. I've spent my career solving complex problems. But the biggest problems Singapore faces today are not just technical. They are deeply human, and they require compassion, clarity, and courage. Last night, we launched our manifesto. It is not filled with slogans. It is a serious proposal to rebuild our social contract, to restore dignity to our seniors, protection for our workers, and fairness for every Singaporean. Because today, Singapore is a high-cost society, and families are feeling the pinch. Rising housing prices, soaring healthcare bills, stagnant wages. Seniors are skipping treatments. Parents are worried about their children's future. Workers retraining again and again and again with no clear path to a secure, good-paying job. Why? Because we have built an economy that prioritizes growth over human well-being. Growth in GDP is important, but so is the well-being of our people and our planet. We cannot have growth that is lopsided, bringing in only foreign capital and labor while leaving our domestic sectors and local entrepreneurs behind. We believe in growth, but not for growth's sake. We believe in growth with equity. That means growing for the people, not just for the numbers. That means supporting SMEs, valuing work, not just elite jobs, and ensuring that productivity gains lead to higher wages and not just higher profits. The real question isn't how much we grow, but who gets to benefit from that growth. That's why our manifesto is based on HEART, H-E-A-R-T, HEART, which means housing security, SERs for all, and rent-to-own schemes. Equitable healthcare, capping out-of-pocket costs, expanding MediShield Life. Assured prosperity, fair wages, citizens first hiring, and real support for SMEs. A resilient economy, one that plans long-term and puts Singaporeans at the heart. Transparent governance, with a Freedom of Information Act to rebuild trust between the government and the people. These aren't just policies, they're a promise to build a Singapore that doesn't run efficiently, but lives humanly. A Singapore that doesn't just belong to the powerful, the billionaire class, but to everyone. A Singapore where you, your parents, your children, and myself are treated not as digits in a data sheet, but as citizens in your own country. Not just in name, but in truth. Because this is the only home that we have. Thank you.
Chairman, the second person on the team for Nee Soon GRC is Dr. Syed Alwi Ahmad, a very important person in Red Dot United who joined us several years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, who has played a pivotal role in guiding our policy department and our Malay Bureau. So let's welcome Dr. Alwi to say a few words, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Syed Alwi Ahmad. It is an honor to be a candidate of Red Dot United for Nee Soon GRC. Let me tell you why I put myself up for this contest. I'm a physicist. I've spent most of my life studying systems, doing calculations, studying risk, the universe, and so on. But the hardest questions are not in the labs. They are right here, in our policies, in our priorities, in the way we treat people. Like the elderly person who delays treatment because waiting times are long and private care is simply out of reach. As the head of RDU's policy, or the working adult who quietly forgoes medication, not because they don't need it, but because they can't afford another bill. So as the head of RDU's policy team, I see trade-offs in every policy. But one thing must remain constant. Fairness must guide every decision. This is why I get very worried when I hear of NMPs resigning so close to the GE, without an appropriate gardening period to contest as a candidate of the ruling party, casting a long shadow on the office of NMPs, which is a symbol of neutrality. Even if it is the legal thing to do, even if our constitution does not explicitly prohibit it, the question is it the right thing to do? This is why I worry for my country. Fairness is being bulldozed for the sake of political convenience. It should not be right. It is not right. When neutrality becomes a stepping stone, the people are no longer being served. They are being played. As a policy researcher, I don't just talk about fairness. I work to build it. One example is a proposal I helped research, the Supporting EduFund Tuition Scheme, or SETS. It is a race-blind, small-class tuition initiative for underprivileged students. Unlike the current race-based programs, SETS focuses on need, not race. And it limits class sizes to just 4 students, so every child gets real focused support. This is the kind of policy we need more of, grounded, inclusive, and built on the values we say we stand for: regardless of race, language, or religion. Fairness doesn't mean every outcome is equal. It means we don't leave people behind. It means we don't design systems that work well only for those who already have an advantage. And it means we don't make high-stake decisions, like building a nuclear power plant without involving the people, who will have to live with the consequences. As a physicist, I understand the science, but I also understand the stakes. One of the biggest questions in this is this: what are we going to do with the nuclear waste? That waste stays dangerous for thousands of years, and where are we going to put it? We're a small country. There may be no safe place to store it. Not now, not ever. Even if the reactor works perfectly, the waste is a real problem. And the bigger problem is, no one's really talking to the public about this. This is not right. If something goes wrong, it's not the experts or ministers who will bear the risk. It's the people living nearby. It's all of us. This is why I came forward. I don't want Singapore to make a decision like this quietly, behind closed doors, and only tell us after everything is signed and settled. This election matters because it decides who will ask the hard questions before it's too late. We need leaders who think clearly, speak honestly, and never forget who they are here to serve. That's the kind of leadership I believe in. And that's why I'm standing here today. Thank you.
Dr. Alvi, like I said, the foundation of Red Dot United's contest in Nee Soon GRC will be founded on honesty. And I want to tell very honestly to our media friends as well as to the residents in Nee Soon GRC that it was never easy to put together this team. Because when you come out as an opposition against the PAP, there are costs to pay. And the cost involves risk to their careers and even fear among their close friends, circles, and even family members. Some of it may be unfounded, but that is the kind of society that we live in. So I'm very happy that for the Nee Soon team, Red Dot United has got two scientists who are standing at the same table with me, Dr. David Fu and Dr. Syed Alvi Ahmad. The thing that pushed Dr. Syed to come forward is the insistence by the government that they will continue to study the nuclear energy for Singapore. He felt there was not much transparency around it, and it is important for him, someone who knows the subject, someone who has studied it, to come forward and to say that we need more transparency, more light on this area. We are not saying no to nuclear energy. That's the difference. We are saying, speak to us more. Give us more information. Convince us. Have a discussion. Let's have a debate. That's why he stepped forward. It's important for professionals like Dr. David Fu and Dr. Syed Alvi to step forward so that we as a society, we know what's at stake. We know how to move forward together as one united people. Having said that, it is also important to have captains of industries and professionals in the team, and this is where our next candidate for Nee Soon GRC comes in, Mr. Pang Heng Chuan. So without further ado, since some of you have already met him, Mr. Pang.
Good evening, fellow Singaporeans. I stand before you not just as a potential candidate for Parliament, but also someone who has spent 25 years in the trenches for business transformation as well as strategic growth. My name is Pang Hing Chuan, and I'm deeply concerned about the rising economic instability and insecurity that many Singaporeans face today. So Singapore stands at a crossroad. Right? Despite being one of the richest countries in the world, many of us struggle with rising costs, stagnant wages, and growing sense that the Singapore dream is slipping away. The 5 C's that once defined success, right? Credit card, car, cash, country club membership, have been replaced by a different set of C's. Cash handouts, CDC vouchers, CPF top-ups, conservancy rebates, chess card rebates. Right? While these provide temporary relief, they cannot replace the pride, dignity, stability that Singaporeans deserve. So is this the future we want? A Singapore where dignity is replaced by dependency on handouts, where our entrepreneurial spirit is diminished by the constant struggle to make ends meet. I believe we deserve better. We deserve a new social contract, one that ensures opportunity is not just a privilege for the few, but a promise for all. Throughout my career, I've specialized in analyzing complex problems, identifying inefficiencies, and implementing strategic solutions that deliver real results. This experience has given me unique insights into how we can address economic challenges facing Singapore today. These same analytical skills are exactly what we need to tackle our economic insecurity crisis, finding innovative solutions that maximize value at the same time without increasing burden on citizens. The Red Dot United Manifesto calls for collective prosperity, and my experience can help to deliver this vision. I know how to set meaningful metrics that go beyond simple growth numbers to measure real prosperity for all citizens. Second, we must support local businesses, especially micro and small enterprises. So my experience at a startup taught me that local entrepreneurs who create jobs and drive grassroots innovation need fairer procurement policies, solutions to late payments, moderated rents, and also more accessible grants to thrive in an economy that has increasingly prioritized large corporations and foreign investments. And third, we need to safeguard sustainability and our planet. I introduced innovative approaches and optimization techniques before that enhance customer connections while improving efficiency. The manifesto also proposes a citizen's dividend, which is an unconditional cash transfer that serves as a financial safety net for all Singaporeans. So my skills in resource optimization and strategic allocation are exactly what we need to ensure the citizen's dividend is implemented efficiently and sustainably. The coming decade will bring unprecedented economic challenges. The manifesto highlights that 1.2 billion workers are expected to enter the global workforce, competing for only 400 million jobs. This level of displacement is unprecedented and will inevitably impact our small, open economy. So my experience in navigating this kind of market disruptions has taught me that proactive measures are essential. I've led teams through techno transitions and market shifts, always finding ways to create new opportunities right amid such challenges. And housing is the foundation of Singapore's social compact, yet many Singaporeans are paying top dollar for homes that will eventually become zero after the 99-year lease. This is not just a financial issue. It is about the security and stability of our families. And my experience in strategic planning and project management in managing complex long-term projects are exactly what we need to implement a comprehensive housing reset that ensures every HDB flat owner will never have to worry about their home becoming worthless. I understand that solutions must be both financially sustainable and also socially equitable, right? Which is kind of balance that I've struck throughout my career. So while the manifesto emphasizes the importance of equitable healthcare, this is an area where economic insecurity in particular, are felt by Singaporeans. Many skip essential care because of cost concerns and creating long-term health and financial problems. I had developed strategies that enhance customer connections and met market needs. This customer-first mindset is essential for creating healthcare policies that truly serve the needs of all Singaporeans, not just those who can afford premium services. And the final pillar of the Red Dot United Manifesto is civil freedom, a society that empowers its people through openness, accountability, and the freedom to shape their own future. This aligns perfectly with my leadership philosophy. Right? Throughout my career, I've ensured compliance with regulatory requirements and also internal governance policies. These experiences have taught me the importance of transparency and accountability in building trust. As your representative in Parliament, I will bring this same commitment to openness and responsibility, ensuring that the voices are heard and the concerns are addressed. So, fellow Singaporeans, the challenges we face are significant, but they are not insurmountable. With the right leadership and commitment to a new social contract, we can build a Singapore where every citizen is treated as a first-class citizen, regardless of background. With the support, we can create a fairer Singapore, one where prosperity is shared, dignity is upheld, and opportunity is open for all. A Singapore that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. So I look forward to earning your trust and your votes. Thank you.
And of course, on our team, we have an IT professional, a young woman who has been through the ups and downs in her life, who has been brought up by, she said it herself, a family of struggle, not necessarily a family of service. So let's hear from Sharon Lin.
Okay. Now please allow me to deliver my speech in Chinese, followed by English. 亲爱的义顺居民，大家好，我是怡慧 Sharon Lin。我来自一个很普通的家庭，父母没有受过很高的教育，不懂得说英语，只能说华语和方言。不仅如此，家庭环境也相当复杂，让我在成长和学习的道路上困难重重。但我知道我必须坚持，就算父母失业，收入不稳，有时省掉1、2顿餐，有时必须以快熟面作为3餐，我也对自己说，不用紧，必须继续走下去，直到我从南洋理工大学毕业。我当时以为世界就是如此，一切都是理所当然，我对政治一概不知。但工作之后发生了一连串事件，在一次应征中，雇主问我是否可以降薪。在2011年，我被困在当时一起地铁大故障。从那时起，地铁故障还是不断的发生。去年2024年9月，还发生了长达6天的地铁大故障。不仅如此，我们的车资也被提高了。我渐渐了解，我们的工资、工人的权利、食品和房屋的价格、教育系统等等，都和政策有一定的关系。所以我开始在反对党做义工，希望有多一点反对党在国会为我发声。当了义工之后，我有机会聆听居民的心声。当一位年长人士告诉我，他只能买包菜、萝卜，因为那是超级市场最便宜的蔬菜。当一位居民忍不住在我面前哭了，说 CDC vouchers 根本解决不了他的经济负担， 我了解居民在承受着高昂生活费的痛苦。今天，我非常感谢红点同心党给我这个平台，让我从幕后走到台前。我的目标是专注于赋予民众更多的自主力，让人民的口袋有更多可支配的收入。这在很多方面是重要的，比如有了更多可支配的收入，年长人士可享用更高质量的食物，而不仅仅是最便宜的。失业人士也可以放下顾虑，专注于寻找更理想的工作，而不是随便接受任何工作。单亲妈妈们能获得他们需要的帮忙，从而有时间照顾家庭。父亲们不必为了养家糊口而打2份工，并且能够专注于他们家庭的长远需求。以前，我觉得做一个领袖必须有很大的职业头衔，比如医生、律师、高级管理。但现在我认识到，做一个领袖也必须有勇气，指出问题在哪里，提供不同的见解。如能当选，我将能从一个普通市民的角度出发，为义顺选民发声。谢谢。I'm from a very ordinary family. My parents were not very highly educated. They could not understand English and could only speak Chinese and dialects. A complicated family environment has made my growing up years and education a difficult journey. But I know I must keep going. When one of my parents was retrenched and income was unstable, we had to skip a meal or two while surviving on instant noodles. I told myself, it's okay, just keep going, until I graduated from NTU. I thought that was how the world was like, that this is the natural way of things. I know nothing about politics. But a series of events happened. During a job interview, I was asked to lower my salary expectations. In 2011, I was trapped in one of the biggest train breakdowns. Since then, train breakdowns have continued. Even when train disruptions lasted for 6 days between Jurong East and Buona Vista in September last year in 2024, we were told to pay for another round of fare increase. Gradually, I came to understand that policies have an effect on our wages, workers' rights, food prices, housing prices, education, and all other aspects of life. I saw how politics affects the lives of ordinary citizens up close. So I started volunteering with the opposition, hoping that with more opposition in the parliament, my voice will be heard. Volunteering has allowed me to listen to the pain felt by a resident up front. When an elderly person shared with me that she could only buy cabbages and carrots because these were the cheapest vegetables from the supermarkets, and when a resident broke down and cried in front of me, telling me that CDC vouchers did not alleviate her financial woes, I know residents are in pain. Today, I'm thankful for Red Dot United for giving me this platform, allowing me to step up to the front. I want to focus on citizen empowerment, putting more money into the pockets of ordinary people. This is important in many aspects. With more money in the pockets of people, the elderly can enjoy better quality food instead of just the cheapest. The retrenched can have peace of mind, focusing on looking for better jobs instead of settling for less. Single mothers will finally receive the helping hand they need, giving them time to focus on their children. Fathers will not have to work 2 jobs just to put food on the dinner table and can focus on the long-term needs of their families. In the past, I used to think that leadership is about having grand job titles: doctors, lawyers, senior management executive. Now I understand it's much more than that. It's about having the courage to point out where things are wrong and to provide a different perspective. If elected as an MP, I will be able to voice out the concerns of Nee Soon residents from the perspective of an ordinary citizen. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Earlier today, a resident of Nee Soon GRC in Nee Soon Link, they reached out to me. They said that there was a big tent that is put up near the block 413 area. They were wondering if the election has already been called. So we do have people who reach out to us in this manner, and they're just ordinary residents who live around this area, because we have been going around talking to people in different areas, in different blocks, in different coffee shops and hawker centers and so on and so forth. And they said, this person who reached out to us said that, why aren't you all here? I see that the PAP has put up a big white tent here. Why are you guys not here? So I asked some of my people to go down to have a look at what's happening. And we realized that it was some sort of celebration put together by the People's Association in that area. And they did some photos and videos of what's happening so that we know, we can see for ourselves what's happening and we can rise to the challenge and so on and so forth. It's always good never to underestimate your opponent, right? So I never underestimate the PAP. I think the PAP and Mr. Shanmugam are formidable opponents. We must treat them with respect. We must give them the dignity that they deserve. And this is why we try to do some of the things that we do. I mean, going down, talking to the people. You know, when people give us feedback that this thing is happening, we send our people to find out what's happening and so on and so forth. You know, and we found out that one of the MPs for Nee Soon GRC, Ms. Carrie, she danced to a popular number. I'm sure you must have heard this song. Apache, 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 apache. She was dancing to that song. And Mr. Shanmugam was also there. He didn't dance. I think he's not as good a dancer as a weightlifter. I'm not sure. I haven't seen him dance. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, right? It was very fun, very lively kind of event. I mean, the video clip that I saw at least showed me that, right? But when I think about it, you know, and of course, I've heard this song. I've heard it on radio. I've seen some people performing it on TikTok and so on and so forth. Right. At first, I thought, I go and searched for the band, and I realized that it was not really a band, but two people who were coming together. You know, at first I thought that one of the person's name was Rose, you know, and Bruno Mars, and then I was like, hey, going to my children and saying, hey, have you heard this band? They're quite good. This song is very catchy, you know. And I said, they are this band called Rose and Bruno Mars, and then my children were like, Daddy, it's not Rose, it's Rosé. Okay, so it's Rosé and Bruno Mars, right? So this is it's a very catchy song. But when I really thought about it, what does the song really represent? One of the singers is a New Zealandic Korean singer, another person from the USA. So it is a very multinational music production. Well and good. I mean, the quality is there. It's fair for everyone to see. It's plain for everyone to see. And if you really look at the song, it is about partying, letting go of everything, escapism, partying in your house, smoking, drinking, having a freak party session. So that's what that song is about. And it appealed to a lot of very young people. And I can totally understand why. Because in a country like Singapore, we really find avenues to let go and go into this place of escapism. It's totally understandable why this song appeals to a lot of people in Singapore. But really, in Singapore, how many people can turn your homes into party clubs where you can invite your people to your home and turn up the music and then have this kind of drinking, smoking, freakish party sessions? Can you? Can you really? I think your next door neighbor will call the police. Hey, this door is very noisy. Can you please come and have a look at it? In a few minutes, in less than 10 minutes, I think you'll have the police knocking on your door. Unless you live in a landed estate, of course, or landed property, which you can convert into a gambling den. It takes years before the police comes and knocks down on your doors and pick you up. Or you live in a private property, where the security guards, if they speak up against you, you're parking in the wrong spot, you get pushed around. So unless you live in this kind of private areas, right, it's very difficult to have a freakish party, smoking, drinking. I'm not sure if drugs are involved, but I think the song certainly alludes to it, where an apartment can become a place of party. So that's the theme, the vibe of that song. And when I realized that this was what the song is about, of course it still appeals to me. I still turn it on the radio when it comes on. It's got a nice catchy beat and all that. But does this vibe, does it really appeal to me? So that was a question that I sometimes ask myself. Now, vibes is there, but what kind of values do they impart? So these are the questions that I ask myself. So when I think about values, I think there is one song which really captures me or captures my spirit, and I think captures the spirit of my generation and also captures, I think, the ethos of many Singaporeans, whether they are young or old. I think many of you know this song. It's a Hokkien song. Chit si si chim men wan tan, chit si lo ke men tan han, na tan chit ki ki bang, mui chit chui bang bang, obun yu te tin chu chu chao lang. I got a music teacher in my team. She's clapping along with me, right? So, but you get the drift. You get the drift, right? So we are talking about. This song talks to me about a very hardworking people, that where even if fortune doesn't favor you, because of your hard work, because of your grit, heaven looks down upon you and gives you some favors. That is the kind of people I think that we all are, that Singaporeans are. That is the kind of nation that we have built together because we have this hard-working ethos. Why do I bring up these two songs? I think it gives us a glimpse of the kind of society that we live in. On the one end, you have the billionaire class who can have all the partying that they want. They can have the road entirely to themselves. We don't find the Suzukis and the Toyotas so much on our streets. I certainly can't find a Proton anymore. There are a lot more Lamborghinis. There are a lot more other luxury cars like BMWs and Mercedes and so on and so forth. And when you look, and the rest of us, we are reduced to taking MRTs, to taking public buses. Nothing wrong. The climate crisis is upon us. But why does it have to be this way? That some people get to drive down the road relatively free and have the privacy while riding down, and others have to squeeze into MRT stations, MRT trains. It's never easy. I mean, you guys know it's never easy, right? And why does it have to be that way? Now, so that's an important question to ask. While those that are super rich can afford to have their freakish parties in homes and invite their friends over and play music as loud as they want to, why do we have to put up with roofs that are leaking? When you call the town council, it takes them 1 year, 2 years for them to get it fixed. It's a real issue that happened in Nee Soon GRC in Yishun, Avenue 11. These are the issues that are brought up to us. It takes years for these issues to be fixed. Why does it take that long? And then we are made to bear that cost or part of that cost. So when the neighbor that lives on top feels that it's not her fault, when the neighbor who lives below feels that, hey, the water is leaking down to my floor, how do I get this fixed? So who is responsible for this? So these are all real issues that the ordinary people face every day, which if you're super rich, you don't have to bear, you don't have to put up with. So that is what this contest is about. That is why I, Ravi Philamon, am a candidate for Nee Soon GRC in this election. I think thank you. I think it is important for us to bring these very important issues, which are critical to the people, into the national debate. As much as the external environment is important, especially for a country which is dependent on global trade because of its geographical location, I think it's also important to make sure that you alleviate some of the burden of the people. We are one of the most hardworking people in the world, if not the most hardworking people. We work the longest hours in the world. Why can't we have a better quality of life? We need more equity. That's what we are calling for. And that's what this election is about. We must remember that it was not Trump who raised the GST. It was the PAP government which raised the GST, and in a time of high inflation, not once, but 2 times. It is the PAP government which has kept the rental high, which has kept the prices of property high. These are all very important issues. It is the PAP government which has said that you need to pay fair prices for the water that you consume. And in the past few years, the price of water have risen by 48%. Let me say that again, 48%. How many of you are paying more in water bill? How many of you are paying more in electricity bills? Of course, they say, yes, we help you periodically, we give you the conservancy rebates, we help you if you have medical condition, we give you the charge rebates. But we know of people who are afraid to go for their specialist appointments because they are worried how much it will cost. One person reached out to us just weeks ago. She brought her daughter to the A&E department because it was the weekend and all the doctors were closed, and she wasn't admitted. She was seen, prescribed some medication and sent back home, and she was charged almost $150, which is why people are afraid to go to the A&E. We live in a high-cost society, and wages are not keeping up with the high costs that this government, this PAP government, has put the pressure on us, on our shoulders, to bear upon. The weight has, I think, has become a little bit too difficult to bear. I think so. And that is what this contest is about. Yes, I'm sure that Mr. Shanmugam is a nice man. I know him. I have been in his Meet the People session. I'm sure that there will be people who will say that, hey, Mr. Shanmugam is not a nice man. But this contest is not about whether Mr. Shanmugam is nice or not nice. It's not about if Mr. Shanmugam has been here for 38 years or less. It is not about if Mr. Shanmugam can be the only known face here and he can bring on 4 other new faces in. This election is about you and me. And I think it's important for us to see it that way. For me, the kind of Singapore that we build is important. The kind of ethos that we have is important. The kind of values that we bring to the table is important. Because long after I am gone, this is the Singapore that my children will inherit. This is the Singapore that my grandchildren will inherit. And I'm sure that it is the same for you. So this is a chance. Maybe you will never get this chance again, but this is a chance for Singaporeans, for the voters of Nee Soon GRC, to know that you can make a change, to make lives better for you. It is not about us. We don't want to talk about highfalutin ideas like democracy and so on and so forth. Yes, democracy is important, but sometimes it becomes so difficult to define what democracy is. So we want to bring it down to the ground, down to the level. This fight is for you. Your vote determines what kind of Singapore you want. We are just your vessels. We are just your instruments for you to decide the kind of Singapore that you will have after this GE. I'm Ravi Philamon. Thank you very much. Now we will open this time to our media friends for some of these questions that you may have. Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Tharman, you mentioned earlier, as the PAP has historically been able to feel Mr. Shanmugam here, how tough a fight is this team anticipating and prepared for? And also, if you could walk us through the rationale of why RU has decided to do both its party leaders here. Why Nee Soon?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I think it's an important question to ask. Our election committee thought hard about this. We are fielding candidates in several other constituencies. It is plain for everyone to see that the party leaders are personally in the contest here ourselves. Dr. David Foo, Dr. Syed Alvi, myself, Mr. Pang Heng Chuan, and Ms. Sharon Lim. Because we feel that Nee Soon is a very important constituency, It is helmed by a minister who initiates laws. It is helmed by a minister who makes sure that these laws are implemented. And in a sense, it is important. It is an important battle to bring to this constituency. It defines and determines the kind of contest that we will have in the other constituencies that we are going to as well. We felt that it will have a ripple effect, and which is why we had to bring our party leadership into the contest here. So unlike the comrades from the other opposition parties which contested here in the past elections, I'm not sure if they fielded their party leaders into that contest. Of course, there were different schools of thoughts around this as well. Some in our election committee felt that we should split up the team. Our chairman should go to lead one constituency, and I lead another constituency. But after deep thinking, we felt that as tough as this battle is, we need to bring one of our strongest teams to Nee Soon GRC. Yes, sir.
I'm James from Sao Paulo. Thank you for your speech. I have just one question. You have mentioned that Nee Soon GRC is one of the most populous GRCs in Singapore, and the ruling party has been here for many years.
Very long time, yes.
Yes. My question is, what is the single biggest challenge from your point of view your party is facing during the forthcoming general election?
Of course, the biggest challenge is we have been walking the ground here only since September 2024. And because it's a very big GRC, as you pointed out, it will be very difficult for us to reach each and every voter. But we are thankful that we have a fairly good comms team. We have a fairly good social media team who works overtime to put out whatever we do, whatever we say on social media. So we are trying to reach the voters through our own platforms. But it's also important, we feel, to partner our friends from the media, whether it be the mainstream media or the alternative media. Which is why, if you notice, I go out of the way to address all of you as media friends. And I think it's important to have that partnership. Call us out. If we made a boo-boo, please do call us out. But if you think that we are fair, then please give us fair coverage. So I think that's how we hope to reach the residents in Nee Soon GRC. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Ravi. Deepan from the Straits Times. Could you take us through the steps and the factors that you weighed up before deciding on coming to Nee Soon to contest instead of the other areas? For example, in the last elections you were in Jurong, so what weighed Nee Soon over Jurong in the end for you?
Of course, that is a very important question. So if Jurong GRC had remained intact, like I said, I'm being totally honest with everyone here, and that's one of the strategies that I'm bringing to this contest, not only in Nee Soon, but in all the other constituencies that we are contesting in. So I'm not going to fudge. I'm not going to pretend something that it's not. So I'm going to tell you as it is, because I think it's only with honesty that you can build trust. Right? So if Jurong GRC had been intact, the team which had contested in Jurong GRC, or most of the team members who had contested in Jurong GRC, we would have gone back to Jurong GRC, because that was our promise to the residents of that constituency. I'm sure I would have been able to convince most of the people who stood there in the last election to go back. But there's no point having that discussion now, because we don't have Jurong GRC anymore. So because we don't have Jurong GRC anymore, some of the wards which were previously in Jurong GRC are still with us, but it's not the entire ward. And we had our election committee. Madam Liana Damira is also part of this election committee. We had this discussion, and we felt that Madam Liana would be able to helm this new GRC, which is the Jurong East Bukit Batu GRC, together with the support of our other members, which meant that I could see where else I could go. So it was a very difficult decision, of course. It was never easy. Because like I said, Mr. Shanmugam, even if he's not a friend, he's an acquaintance. I don't know if he'll call me a friend anymore or not. But I think I am very careful that I should treat him with the respect that he deserves, that he needs, that at least his office needs. I was having a conversation with one of his men, perhaps his right-hand man, just a few days ago in the coffee shop. He treated us to coffee. And he said, why are you coming here? And for me, it's more than my friendship with Mr. Shanmugam. The people of Singapore are important. And I think it is important to bring this contest here, because the kind of contest that we run in Nee Soon will determine the kind of party that RDU wishes to be. We hope to inspire others to come and join us. I always say that Red Dot United is a movement. It is not a political party. Because political party, they usually go dormant in between elections, because there's really nothing much to do in between elections. But if you look at Red Dot United, we have been engaged in the constituencies that we are engaged in. We've had movie screenings, we have durian parties, different activities for the residents that are there. And sometimes there was one time we went into this market, and this was some time ago, and a fishmonger, I shook his hand and he said that you are too late. You come once every few months, whereas the MP who's in this area, he comes every week. But there's a difference, right? Because the MP who comes there every week to shake somebody's hands, the shopkeeper's hands or the fishmonger's hands, he is paid $15,000 a month to do that. And even with that allowance, most MPs moonlight with another job. I'm not saying that whether it's right or wrong, but it's their job. That's what they're elected to do. Whereas the rest of us who lost don't have that mandate. It means that we have family commitments to juggle. We have a career to take care of. If you're running a business, we have to make sure that our businesses are sustained. But despite all that, we try to do what we can do best. And this is why we ask for the people's mandate. Because if we can do all of this, even after we have lost, you can imagine how much more we can do if we have the mandate from the people.
Angela from A1, may I ask if any candidate could provide a Chinese soundbite on why Nee Soon GRC?
Sure. Chips. Sure. Chinese? Soundbite in Chinese?
Let me think about it. I haven't thought about it.
You put us on the spot. Sherry, go for it. You say that it's important. He is the law minister and home affairs minister, and he initiates laws and implements laws. And so what we do here, resonate in the other constituencies that we organize. You can do it. She will give you that soundbite, but while she's thinking about it, let me take another question.
Thank you. To ask, you talked a bit about the politics that ABT is likely to do. Does that give you guys more confidence even though, as you mentioned, also Mr. Shanmugam is very common for
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think Mr. Shanmugam is a formidable political opponent. I don't take him lightly at all. This is a serious campaign that we are in, and we know that Mr. Shanmugam will bring his game to us, but we have a good team, and we will see how to take the game that he brings to us and how to face it.
Another question for me. I know you talked about how Jurong GRC is no longer, or maybe the boundaries have changed. But personally for you, are there any factors that sort of swung you towards Nee Soon? I know it's a committee decision, but when you spoke to the committee, are there things that you brought up that you wanted to say, okay, I want to be?
No, actually, the decision is not mine to make. The decision is the committee's to make. We are very clear on that. So, of course, some candidates will have preferences that I prefer to contest in this GRC or this SNC and all that. But everyone in my team knows that the party's interest is always more important than the individual's interest. Because we always play as a team. If someone is not a team player, then they have no place in RDU. Yeah.
Would you go as far as to say that this is RDU's A team that's in Nee Soon?
Well, every one of my candidates is an A team. We bring the best players to the game. But just like, if it's a contest, if it's Manchester United and a third division team, you can bring a different team to play with the third division team, right? But if it's Manchester United and Liverpool, then it's a different set of players that you need to bring in. Doesn't mean that the player you use for a third division team it's any lesser than the player that you will bring to the Liverpool team. So it's just a strategy that changes. The players are equally important. Everyone in my team is an A team. Thank you for that question.
Why isn't Ms. Kalamanka considered for Nee Soon GRC, considering the fact that she contested in 2020 here with another political party, but then she was also moved around better to the president?
Thank you.
And also, she's already popular, she's done well now to be party. So, would this like considered to be put the lineup for here? And also, the last question, would you be including her in someone else?
Well, I think firstly, this evening is about Nee Soon GRC and the team that we are fielding for Nee Soon GRC. When we made the announcement that we are walking the ground in Jalan Kayu, we were very clear to announce Madam Kala Manikam as a team leader for the work that will go on in Jalan Kayu, not as a possible candidate. But in the 1 month that we have been engaged there, hats off to Madam Kala. She has done extensive work in that constituency. She has met all the 7-8 target areas that we mapped out, visited all the coffee shops, visited as much blocks as she can, so much so that many of the residents there know her by name They know Red Dot United because of her effort. But where she will be fielded or where she will not be fielded, it's not her decision to make. It is the party's decision. As I said earlier, even I do not decide where I want to be. So, but that doesn't, whether she is in the Nee Soon team or not, it does not mean whether she can contribute to our efforts in Nee Soon or in any other constituencies that she is in. She is a valuable asset regardless of where she goes to. There is a reason why we are not announcing Jalan Kayu today. And because if you notice our announcement for Jurong East, Bukit Batu and Jurong Central SMC, both these constituencies, the nomination center will be in the same place. And so it made sense to announce that team together. Whereas the Jalan Kayu SMC would go to a different nomination center and Nee Soon GRC will go to a different nomination center. So we will make an announcement on Jalan Kayu at some point in time. We have to look at our logistics, our administration, because when we do send someone to Jalan Kayu, and we have options to send someone there, besides Madam Kala, and we will make the right decision at the right time. And when we do, we will be open, transparent, and honest with the media as to what happened. Yeah. But today, I don't want to talk about Jalan Kayu too much because it steals the moment away from our Nee Soon team. Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Saad. Amanya from The Independent. RDU positions itself as a party that is coming with solutions and not just problems. Your recent stance on Singapore's exploration of nuclear energy is slightly critical, especially given the fact that Singapore is heavily dependent on foreign importation of energy resources to basically supply energy to our nation. So what is RDU's solution if not nuclear energy to diversify our energy efforts?
Well, perhaps in that situation, we could look and discuss as a nation. RDU will certainly be there to participate in any dialogue. Perhaps this is not exactly the appropriate forum. What do you think?
I think it is. In the last election, we were one of the only parties. I think it's the only, maybe perhaps the PAP came out with it, but we're the only party to come out with a green charter. There are many options that we can consider, and some of it the government is already doing. They're exploring, like they are getting gas from, even all the way from Australia. They are experimenting with solar panels on HDB. But of course, Singapore is like very cloudy, right? So you may not be able to get as much solar power as you would in like some deserts in Australia. So, so it's an ongoing conversation that we need to have. But what we are saying is it needs to be an honest conversation where all the data and the statistics are on the table. People know what the trade-offs are, and together we can decide if this is the route we want to take to diversify away from fossil fuels. And if at the end of the day, if the people decide that it's nuclear energy and that's the direction we want to go in, so be it. We are not against nuclear energy. All we are saying is that we cannot decide right now if nuclear is the right renewable energy for us, because not all the data and all the statistics are on the table. And more importantly, what do we do with the nuclear waste? We're talking about the nuclear reactor. There are lots of safe nuclear reactors around the world. But every nuclear reactor produces waste. What do you do with the waste? Do you dispose them underwater, under the sea? Will they still be radioactive even if they're under the sea? Will you dispose of them in Malaysia or Indonesia? Will our neighbors allow you to dispose of them in their country? What will it do to our neighborly tensions? So these are all important questions. We we don't approach any issue in a very populist kind of way. We are very responsible. We try to be a responsible and a credible opposition party. And so that is why our position on this question, on this particular area, is that it's best for us not to provide a solution. The solution is that we need to have more discussion, more debates centered on more data and more statistics on this topic. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
What are the unique features or unique things about Nee Soon or this electorate that makes it the heart of the campaign for RDU? Because I think you previously mentioned that Nee Soon will be the heart of GE2025 for RDU. So, do you share what the unique things?
Sure, it is one of the biggest constituencies in Singapore, 150 over 1,000 voters. And I think only 13% of if I'm not mistaken, only 13% of the voters live in private estates, mainly HDB blocks. So it's very, very representative of the ordinary Singaporean. And so our message, if you look at our manifesto, it is centered on making sure that every Singaporean feels like he is a first-class citizen in his own country, in the only home that he has, and to make sure that everyone who lives here feels that Singapore is a fairer society. So I think Nee Soon, in that sense, it's very representative of Singapore, and that is why we feel that it is the heart of the campaign, the contest that RD will bring in this GE. You have the soundbite ready? Okay, Sharon, soundbite.
义顺是一个重要的选区，因为邵木根部长是律政部长，也是内政部长，所以这个选区竞选的过程和成绩，其影响将会在新加坡其他地区产生共鸣。
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.